Hello, my name is Carissa, and today I'm going to record a quick video on how to do APA 7 style box plots using RStudio. So to get started, I have my R file here. I just went ahead and I added my name, the date, and the project, just so when I open this file later on, I have this information to refer back to. And then the first thing that we're going to do is to load our libraries. So these are the packages that we'll be using today. And from here, the psychTools package actually contains some data sets that we can use. And so when I'm calling this package, I'm also calling those data sets. So when I say describe a Cushionee, this is a data set already in the psychTools package. So to see what is actually in that data set, I'll bring us over to the documentation. Here we can see that the Cushionee data set is in the psychTools package, and it's data from Cushionee and Peoples 1905 on the effect of 3 drugs on hours of sleep used by student 1908. So here's a brief description of the data set, and we can see here information about the variables. So we have control, which is the hours of sleep in the control condition, drug 1, drug 2L, drug 2R, and then we have delta 1, which is the change from control to drug 1, and same for the other 2. So this is actually a within subjects data set. So the changes in the delta variables are changes within each person from the baseline control to then taking a drug. So let's go back to our R file. So now that we sort of are oriented a little bit to the data set, if I describe the data here, we can see again all those variables. We can see the number of people. We have 10 people in each condition. And again, it's within subjects. We have the means, the standard deviations, median, and so on and so forth. So specifically, if we look at this data set here, given that it's within subjects, we're really only interested in the effect of the drugs compared to the control conditions. So we're just going to look at these last 3 columns, which is the change from the control to drug 1, the change from the control to drug 2L, and then 2R. So to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and select those columns. I'm calling the data set, and then the brackets allow me to select the rows and columns I want within that data set. Within the brackets is rows, comma, columns. So by putting nothing before the comma, I'm saying I want all of the rows, comma, I want columns 5 through 7. So if I run that, and then I can go ahead and look at that, I'm just saving the 3 columns that I want. To show you what this might do, if I put, a 1 here, it's just saving the first row. But again, we want all of it, so we'll just go ahead and put nothing, comma, 5 through 7. So the next thing that we need to do in order to use ggplot in this case is to pivot the data from wide format to long format. So it is currently in wide format, meaning that each of the variables have their own column. We want all of the hours to be in the same column, and then all of the conditions to be in another column. So to do that, we can go ahead and pivot data from long to wide using the pivot longer function. I'm saying take these 3 columns, put the names in the headers to a new column called condition, and then take all of the values and put them into a column with the header hours. So if I run that, we can see here now that we have the conditions. So it's just the start of the data set. We have all the conditions, and then we have the hours here. So condition for this first participant, delta 1, changes 0.7 hours. So now if we want to actually plot the data, we go ahead and call ggplot. We put in our data, our long data set. And then for AES, aesthetic X, we want the condition on the x-axis. We want hours on the y-axis, and then we want to color by condition. You don't have to color, but it makes it easier to differentiate. Then from there, we're going to add the geom Boxplot function, and I have width specified in here, and that's just changing the width of the Boxplot. So let's go ahead and I'll just run this part. I'm going to remove the plus sign. So I'm just going to run just this section right here. And we can see that we get a chart that looks like this. We have our conditions on the x-axis. We have the increase in hours, right? This is the difference between the control condition and the drug 1 condition. So there's some ways that we can improve this graph to make it APA formatting and make it a little bit easier to see. So the first thing that we can do, so I'm going to put the plus sign back in. Maybe we want to add some dots. So we have the blocks plot, but if we want to see individual data points, then we can add geom jitter and specify the size, the alpha, transparency, and width. So now we have the same box plots, but we added the individual data points so we can better understand where they're located. Again, you don't have to do that, but if you'd like to, that's just how you would do that. The next thing that we want to do is we can use this theme APA function. So I'll go ahead and run it with that. So I'll run this section. And it looks like this. And so it's getting closer. So with APA formatting, we don't want any of those background grid lines that we had before. So now we got rid of those. We have a nice clean X and Y axes, and we have our titles. However, we do need to bold these titles in order for it to be APA 7 formatting. And we also want to relabel them because I think we can name them a little bit better. And we also can relabel these X axes labels so that they make a little bit more sense. So I'm doing that here. So for the X lab condition, I'm just specifying the X title. It already says condition, so I don't necessarily have to do that. This function here, I'm just reassigning labels to the axes tick marks. Here I am relabeling the Y-axis title. So instead of hours, saying something like increase in sleep hours or difference in sleep hours, so that we know that these scores are not just this condition or drug 1, it is the increase from the control condition. Here I'm just removing the legend. I don't think it provides a lot of information or value. It's pretty clear based on the graph what that is. So I can go ahead and just run this section here. So it's just relabeling, making it a little bit clearer. So now we have our titles have changed and our labels have changed based on what we wanted to specify. I'll plus sign back in. So now what we might want to do is go ahead and boldface those titles in line with APA formatting. And then I can also change the limits and the tick marks on the Y-axis to provide a little bit more information. So I'll go ahead and run this whole section now. We get something that looks like this, and this is our APA formatted box plot. So we have the conditions, we have the difference in sleep hours, and then what we do from here is go ahead and we can copy or save this image. We can open a Word document. So first we'd add our figure number. So let's put figure 1. We'll go ahead and bold that. And then in italics, we'll add the title. So something like change in sleep hours from control condition to drug conditions, or something like that. Generally informative about what the plot is showing. And then I'll go ahead and copy the plot and paste it over here, get a little bigger. And then down below the plot, I can go ahead and add a note, say total N, so total sample size is 10. And then I would want to add some more information about, for example, maybe what drug 1 is and how these different scores were computed, etc. So just more information about what the graph is showing. Now, another thing that we want to do here, they typically only have an X and Y axis. They don't have a full box around the plot. So to get rid of that box, we can just crop out these 2 lines, just bring it in slightly, and then those lines are gone. The APA theme in ggplot takes us part of the way there to creating an APA 7 style figure, but it doesn't make all the necessary changes that we need. So we were able to make all the other changes in R by boldfacing and changing the labels, but getting rid of the box we can just do in our actual word processing document. Great, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully this was helpful. See you next time.